Hello, this is Slate with Combo Burakos, bringing you another video deck tech of a deck that we built by request and have for sale. If you're not familiar with us, we make and sell custom budget EDH decks. These decks are light on the budget, so they may not be optimal or competitive, but they're definitely fun and centered around a central theme that you can build on. So today we have a Burakos Party Leader, which is 3 and a black for a 2/4 legendary creature orc. It is a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard in addition to its types. When it attacks, the defending player loses X life, and you create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of creatures in your party, and you do get to choose a background, which we'll see next, but this deck is all focused around the party mechanic, but also the treasure mechanic. So let's get into it. We have Guild Artisan, 1 in red for a legendary background. Commander creatures you own have whenever it attacks a player, and if no opponent has more life than that player, you create 2 treasure tokens. We have Zagras, Thief of Heartbeats, 4 black red for a 4/4 legendary vampire rogue. Cost 1 less for each creature in your party with flying, death touch, and haste. Other creatures you control have death touch, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a planeswalker, destroy that planeswalker. Just a nice alternate commander option here. Grim Hireling, 4 and a black for a 3/2 Tiefling Rogue. Whenever 1 or more creatures deal combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens. You can pay black, sacrifice X treasures to give a creature -X until end of turn as a sorcery. Mastermind Plum, 2 and a black for a 2/2 legendary human wizard. When it attacks, exile up to 1 card from a graveyard. If it was an artifact card, create a treasure token. Whenever you cast a spell, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, you draw a card and lose a life. We have Coveted Prize, 4 and a black, cost 1 less for each creature in your party. Basically, a demonic tutor. Search for any card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. If you have a full party, and that spell had mana value 4 or less, you can play it without paying its mana cost. Ruthless Technomancer, 3 to black for 2/4 human wizard. When it enters, you can sacrifice another creature. If you do, create a number of treasures equal to that creature's power. 2 and a black, sack X artifacts. Return a creature card with power X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and X can't be 0. Monumental Corruption, 3 black, sorcery. Target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Charming Scoundrel, 1 in red for a 1/1 human rogue with haste. When it enters, choose 1, discard a card, draw a card, create a treasure token, or create a wicked roll token attached to a creature you control, which I believe gives it +1/+1, and when it leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. Reign of Riches, 3 red. When it enters, create 2 treasure tokens. The first spell you cast each turn that was spent from a treasure has Cascade. So you search, or you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card with lesser mana value, and you can play that card. Rose Room Treasurer, 3 and a red for a 4/3 Ogre Warrior with Alliance. Whenever a creature enters, create a treasure token. If it's the second time this ability has resolved, you can pay X, and if you do, it deals X damage to any target. Gimli, the Glittering Caves, 2 and a red for a 1/1 legendary dwarf warrior with double strike. Whenever another legendary enters under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it, and when it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Prosperous Bandit, 2 and red for 2/2 Raccoon Rogue with Offspring 1, so you can pay 1 to create a 1/1 copy of this. Has first strike. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, creates that many tapped treasure tokens. Multi-class of Boldrick, 1 mana 2 to equip equipment. Equip creature has lifelink if you control a cleric, death touch if you control a rogue, haste if you control a warrior, and flying if you control a wizard. As long as you have a full party, prevent all damage that would be dealt to equipped creature. Basilisk Collar, 1 mana 2 to equip creature has death touch and lifelink. Gorgon Flail, 2 mana 2 to equip creature gets +1/+1 and has death touch. Hunter's Blowgun, 1 mana 2 to equip creature has death touch on your turn, otherwise it has reach. It also gets +1/+1. Into some mana rocks, we have Coalition Relic, Talisman of Indulgence, Rakdos Signet, Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Firemine Vessel, taps for 2 different colors, Navigation Orb, or colorless Cultivate, Wayfarer's Bauble, or colorless Rampant Growth, Mind Stone, Prized Statue, 2 mana artifact. When it enters or is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, create a treasure token. Noble's Purse, 2 mana, enters tapped with 3 coin counters. You can tap it to remove a coin counter and create a treasure token. Charcoal Diamond, Fire Diamond, Collector's Vault, 2 mana, 2 and a tap, draw a card, discard a card, then create a treasure token. Stonework Pack Beast, 2 mana, 2/1 Beast, is also a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. 2 mana to add a mana of any color. Seagate Colossus, 7 mana, 7/5, costs 1 less for each creature in your party. Ravager's Mace, 1 black, red, 2, equip 2 and a black. When it enters, attach it to a creature you control. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each creature in your party and has Menace. Stormclaw Rager, 1 black red for 2/2 Ogre Warrior. Pay 1, sack a creature or artifact, put a 1/1 counter on it, and draw a card, only as a sorcery. Diabolic Tutor, 2 black, searches your library for any card and puts it into your hand. Thieves' Tools, 1 and a black, equipment. When it enters, create a treasure token. Equipped creature can't be blocked as long as its power is 3 or less. Burakos' power is 3, so it works there with equip 2. Agents of the Iron Throne, 2 and a black for a legendary background. Commander creatures you own have whenever an artifact or creature is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. So yes, this does work for treasures, and you can drain your opponents quite easily with all the treasures you make in this deck. Acquisition Expert, 1 and a black for 1/2 human rogue. When it enters, an opponent reveals a number of cards from their hand equal to the number of creatures in your party. Choose one of those cards, and that player discards that card. Treasure Dredger, 1 and a black for a 2/2 human rogue. 1, tap, pay a life, create a treasure token. Morbid Opportunist, 2 and a black for 1/3 rogue. Whenever 1 or more other creatures die, draw a card. This only triggers once each turn. Undercity Scrounger, 2 and a black for a 1/4 human rogue artifact creature. Tap to create a treasure token and activate only if a creature died this turn. Drana Silencer, 5 and a black for a 3/2 vampire rogue. When it enters, target creature gets a -X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Black Bloom Rogue, 2 and a black for 2/3 human rogue with menace, gets +3/+0 as long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. It can also be a tapped black land. We have Duskfang Mentor, 2 and a black for a 1/3 human cleric. When it enters, put a lifelink counter on a non-human creature you control. Burakos would be a good target. 1 black, tap, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control with lifelink. Malakir Blood Priest, 1 and a black for 2/1 vampire cleric. When it enters, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Feed the Swarm, 1 and a black, destroys a creature and enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent's mana value. Power Stone Fracture, 1 and a black, is additional cost to cast. Sack an artifact or creature, destroy a creature or planeswalker. Deadly Derision, 2 black, instant, destroys a creature or planeswalker, then you create a treasure token. Grim Bounty, same thing, but as a sorcery. Thwart the Grave, 4 black, costs 1 less for each creature in your party. Return target creature card up to 1 target cleric, rogue, a warrior, or wizard from your graveyard to the battlefield. Deadly Alliance, 4 and a black, instant, destroys a creature or planeswalker, but it does cost 1 less for each creature in your party. Devour Intellect, 1 black, target opponent discards a card. If mana from a treasure was spent, instead that player reveals their hand, you choose a landline card, and that player discards that card. So basically Thoughtseize if you use a treasure to cast this, which is easy to do in this deck. Fake Your Own Death, 1 and a black, instant, target creature gets +2/+0. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, and you create a treasure token. Deadly Dispute, 1 and a black is additional cost to cast. Sack an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. Costly Plunder, 1 and a black, sack an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards. Fanatical Offering, same thing, but you do create a map token off of this one. Eviscerator's Insight, same thing, no map token, but it does have flashback for 4 and a black. Thundering Spark Mage, 3 and a red for a 2/2 human wizard. When it enters, it deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of creatures in your party. Ardent Electromancer, 2 and a red for a 3/2 human wizard. When it enters, add red for each creature in your party. Exhibition Magician, 2 and a red for a 2/1 human wizard. When it enters, create a 1/1 green citizen or create a treasure token. Swashbuckler Extraordinaire, 2 and a red for a 2/2 dragon rogue warrior. When it enters, create a treasure token. Whenever you attack, you can sacrifice 1 or more treasures. When you do, up to that many target creatures gain double strike until end of turn. Redcalf Thief, 2 and a red for a 2/3 goblin rogue. When it enters, create a treasure token. Tavern Swindler, 1 and a red for a human rogue. Whenever you flip a coin, create 2 treasure tokens. Pay 1, tap and sack a permanent, flip a coin. Vault Robber, 1 and a red for 1/3 dwarf rogue. 1, tap, exile a creature card from your graveyard to create a treasure token. And Blood-Soaked Insight, 5 black-red hybrid, costs 1 less for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. Target opponent exiles the top 3 cards of their library. Until end of your next turn, you can play those cards, and you can spend mana of any type to cast them. Also can be a tapped black-red land. Into some lands themselves: Shadowblood Ridge, Smoldering Marsh, Canyon Slough, Temple of Malice, Foreboding Ruins, Sandstone Sanctuary. This one becomes a 3/3 with all creature types, so it does fit into the party theme. Myriad Landscape for some colorless ramp. Volatile Fault destroys a non-basic land, then they search for a basic, you create a treasure token. Rogue's Passage makes your creature unblockable. Tainted Peak, Rakdos Guildgate, Tramway Station, Razor Trap Gorge. Base Camp, taps for a mana of any color to cast a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard, or to activate an ability of 1. Command Tower. Path of Ancestry, if you cast a creature that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. And then some basic swamps and mountains. That's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, but we'll see you next time.